Headlines viewers, you are watching Times Now. I am Meenakshi Upreti. We are starting this bulletin with a big breaking news coming in as our focus on the Trump tariff tantrum and the threats coming in from the US continues. What's going to be India's strategy, viewers? We have a big breaking news, an inside scoop on how India plans to deal with these tantrums. So India at the moment is in wait and watch mode. What is it that top sources are telling us, viewers? India believes that the US negotiation team is visiting India. That has not been put on hold till now by the US or by India. India is also hopeful that if this particular team comes, it is going to be seen as a positive development. There is always room for negotiations on multiple items which we can also buy from US and obviously import as well. At the same time, this is very significant, viewers, because top sources are saying that India at the moment believes it's a mere pressure tactic by the Trump administration ahead of negotiations. We are not going to be threatened. We are not succumbing to such theatrics. Pragya is joining us live on the broadcast. Pragya, what top sources are telling you? Very much obviously resonating the Prime Minister's message, the big message which came a very short while ago. The Prime Minister saying India's interests first, Kisan interests, farmer interests are paramount. Top sources also saying that we are open to negotiations. Negotiation talks will go on with the US, but pressure tactics, that's not something India will bow down to.
Absolutely, Meenakshi, and Government of India is very firm on its stand that, if you put a gun on our head and say that you will increase tariff, we are not going to be succumbing to your pressure tactics. And many in the government believe this is just a pressure tactics before the US team comes, in India for the negotiation. Government believes that the visit by the US negotiating team is still on, which means that there is room for more negotiations. India on its part will do everything that will benefit the consumers and that will also benefit the farmers and the producers in the country. But that does not come at a price of farmers and also for the fishery sector. That has been made very clear by the Government of India. Government of India is also looking at items that can also be put on the table when the negotiation team comes, that can be offered to the US because there are many items that US may want us to buy from US, be it natural gas, be it other energy products, which we are also ready to do that. Government is preparing that list. Every department, in fact, ministry has been asked about that list also. But government also believes that if you try to threaten us, this is not going to work with India. We don't work like this, and in fact we have other alternative sources as far as trade is concerned. However, we also know that US is a significant trade partner, and this is why we are just responding to the threats that have been issued by Donald Trump, President of US, and not going beyond that. Otherwise, India also looking at the alternative sources. They are also having bilateral relationship with other countries like UK, and which was a very successful and historical bilateral that we did with UK. This also puts pressure on US. So in a way, US also would want to negotiate with India, and that is why the US team that was visiting India, according to the government sources, they have not put that on hold as of yet.
Well, absolutely, and it's a very significant message which is coming in from the side of the top sources of central government saying that we are not going to bow down to such theatrics. Hina also continues to be live with us. Hina, sources also telling our colleague Pragya that government is looking at countries which can be seen as an alternative to the US when it comes to trade. Government is also preparing a list of items that can be offered to the US as a part of the deal as and when the US team visits India. Could you take us through what possibly could entail or be included in this list of items, and the other countries? What are the other countries which India perhaps could be seeing as an alternative?
Well, let's explain to our viewers the situation here. Donald Trump is saying it's my way or the highway. Indian government is trying to send a message, you take it or you leave it, but we are not going to compromise as far as our national interest is concerned. That was the message sent loud and clear by the Prime Minister as well. Even if India will have to pay a heavy price for it, it is not going to compromise on the interest of its own people. That was the message. So it is very interesting, the inputs that Pragya has got for us. One of them being that government is also looking at countries which can be seen as an alternative to America when it comes to trade. Okay, if it is going to impact our exporters, 50% 50% tariff, then we will look at other options. We will not shy away from looking at other options. That's the message that's being sent very, very clearly to Trump administration. Now, what's also interesting, Meenakshi, to note here is that this is clearly and only an intimidation tactic, a bargaining tactic by Donald Trump, who is the President of the United States of America, but also a businessman at heart. Why am I saying it? Because if he actually wanted to impose 50% tariff on India, if he actually wanted to punish India in one go and would not want to keep the room for negotiations open, then he would have implemented this full 50% from tonight itself, because August 7th, today is when the first tranche of Trump tariff kicks in, the reciprocal tariff of 25%. Why has he given us this 21-day window? This is an important window of negotiations. 5 rounds of talks have already happened between officials from Delhi and Washington. 6th round of negotiation is expected to happen in the national capital, because a team from the United States of America will be coming here on 25th. This 21-day period is going to be there till 27. So he also very smartly has kept the room open for negotiations, because he understands the importance of Indian market as well, and he also understands that India cannot really be forced into something that India does not want. So India clearly responding, in a very firm manner that for us, it is national interest that comes first, and deadlines also are not going to work with us.
This type of an approach, my way or the highway approach by Donald Trump, that's not going to be taken lightly by India. We are not going to negotiate when it comes to farmers' interests. That's what the Prime Minister also said. Hina and Pragya, why don't you two stay with us? We also have Mr. Sharat Kohli, top economist, who's joined us on the phone line. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Top sources telling us, sir, at the moment that India says there is room for negotiation. We are positive and hopeful that there can be a way out of this situation. But what's very interesting is is the fact that India is underlining that we are not going to be threatened and we are not going to succumb to such theatrics. Trump tariff tantrums, they are not going to work on India.
Good morning to you and the Times Now viewers. Absolutely, I can't agree more, because in my 3.5 decades of career in economics, I've never seen, trade being done with a gun on the head. This is, you can do this by this deadline, you start doing with this product, you force your investments. This trade is a matter of natural evolution between the two countries, based on demand, supply, and based on who makes what cheaper. So that is how trade evolves. Trade cannot be done in this manner, the way Donald Trump is trying to do. And, we should not forget that this is a self-destructive move as well. Either he can bring factories overnight to America, which is impossible. Otherwise, it's going to fuel inflation in America. And the cost of producing goods in America is so high that it is definitely not possible for him to start manufacturing what he is doing to Tim Cook. He forced Tim Cook to invest $100 billion, and poor Apple, they didn't have a choice because they are based out of America. They know that their iPhones don't cost more than $1,200, $1,300 by getting them from India and China. If they are manufactured in the US, they will cost them $3,000 plus. So Prime Minister Modi has rightly said that we are not going to succumb to any pressure from the West, which says that you'll be forced to do the deal. We cannot compromise on agriculture. We cannot compromise on dairy. Our structure of economy is like that. We have to protect the interest of 1.45 billion people in this country. We are a sovereign country. We will buy oil from wherever we want. Whosoever gives us a good deal, we will buy. Just like America wants to have a deal, India has got a right to deal as well. So I fail to understand what is this rhetoric President Trump is building around America. And I'm sure this is going to bring a lot of dissent within the Republican Party.
And you're right, sir. When it comes to India, India has made its stand absolutely clear. The Prime Minister also very clearly saying that India is not going to bow down to any pressure. Very, recently, a short while ago, a few minutes ago, the Prime Minister spoke at an event where he gave a direct message. Listen in. Okay, before we listen into the Prime Minister again, let me go across to my colleague Pratibha. She's bringing us some more details when it comes to the Trump tariff tantrums and obviously India's strategy, the blueprint with which we plan to counter these threats. Pratibha, over to you.
So amid this trade talk, Meenakshi, the BJP has quoted the Prime Minister and he has spoken about farmers first always. So Pradeep Bhandari of the BJP says, for Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, national interest is supreme, and he has quoted the Prime Minister as he goes on to say, India will always protect the right of its farmers and will never compromise with it, whatever the price. So India's message is loud and clear to the United States. And then Pradeep Bhandari goes on to say Congress can continue political opportunism. 140 crore Indians are with Prime Minister to stand for India's strategic autonomy.
Well, absolutely. So that is obviously the messaging coming from the BJP as well. Opposition, while it's taking barbs, the center making its stand crystal clear. Farmer interest is paramount. We are not going to compromise when it comes to that front. The Prime Minister also saying that our stand is absolutely clear. And when it comes to the farmer interest, there will be no compromise on the same. Listen into what the Prime Minister said.
भारत अपने किसानों के, पशुपालकों के और मछुआरे भाई बहनों के हितों के साथ कभी भी समझौता नहीं करेगा। और मैं जानता हूं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं। मेरे देश के किसानों के लिए, मेरे देश के मछुआरों के लिए, मेरे देश के पशुपालकों के लिए आज भारत तैयार है। किसानों की आय बढ़ाना, खेती पर खर्च कम करना, आय के नए स्रोत बनाना, इन लक्ष्यों पर हम लगातार काम कर रहे हैं। साथियों, हमारी सरकार ने किसानों की ताकत को देश की प्रगति का आधार माना है। इसलिए बीते वर्षों में जो नीतियां बनी, उनमें सिर्फ मदद नहीं थी, किसानों में भरोसा बढ़ाने का प्रयास भी था।
And we heard what the Prime Minister had to say, viewers, but there's a lot of politics also which is brewing on the same. We believe Mallikarjun Kharge has also spoken out on the same. He's put out a post on social media. Pratibha, over to you. Take us through what the Congress is saying about the latest developments.
So India first, the Prime Minister Modi has made it very clear, but politics around it continues. Meenakshi, Mallikarjun Kharge says India's national interest is supreme. Any nation that arbitrarily penalizes India for our time-tested policy of strategic autonomy, which is embedded in the ideology of non-alignment, doesn't understand the steel frame India is made of. From the threats of the Seventh Fleet to the sanctions of nuclear tests, we have navigated our relationship with the US with self-respect and dignity. He goes on to say that the Prime Minister was mum when Trump spoke about the ceasefire. He said that despite the threats from Trump on imposing 100% tariff on BRICS nations, the Prime Minister said nothing, and then he goes on to say that this is foreign policy failure. He says that your government is clueless on how to deal with it. You can't even blame this foreign policy disaster on the 70 years of the Congress.
Well, absolutely so. The Prime Minister putting the nation, our farmers first, but the opposition is unrelenting. The war of words, obviously, on Trump tariffs and his threats back home continues. Thank you, Pratibha, for joining us with all these details.